Yo, what's up with it, y'all? It's JD, Travelsthenix, and I'm back with another quick video. In today's video, I wanted to run over another topic in terms of dealing with women. And this one is going to be about dealing with non-black women. This is for the brothers out there. Dealing with non-black women who exclusively date black men. And before we get into the video, if you're interested in travel, fitness, health, overall growth content, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you can get updated every time I drop new content. So guys, today's my off day from working out. I'm not doing any calisthenics today, not doing any serious training. So today I'm really just working on mobility. It's raining outside, so when it stops raining a little bit later, I might go shoot some hoops. But really what I wanted to talk about in this video is talk about the subject of dating non-black women who exclusively date black men, and why, in my opinion, there's some that are cool to mess with, but then there's also some that you just want to stay away from at all costs. And the majority of them actually is going to be the ones that you want to stay away from at all costs. And that being that, I would say the majority of non-black women who date black men are literally just dating them strictly for the stereotype. And the stereotype is that, number one, probably the most prevalent stereotype is just that they just want to have fun with black men in the bedroom. You know what I mean? Just using black men for the sexuality and what they perceive as one of the only things that the black man has of value. And for them, a lot of times that's just a body part. Another thing is that they tend to believe into these stereotypical examples in the media of what black men are, which is rappers, basketball players, football players, thugs, drug dealers, overly aggressive, hypersexual, all these different stereotypes that they believe that a black man is, and these are things that just turn them on. So those type of women who exclusively date black men who are not black themselves, you definitely want to stay away from. And a lot of the times they're fucking with low quality black dudes, or since they're looking for the stereotype, since they're looking for the black dude who is, you know, on some street shit, or looking for the black dude who's you know, whatever they're looking for a negative stereotype for the most part, because that's pretty much how we're perceived throughout the media, is in a negative light. So if they're looking for something negative, they're going to get something negative. So a lot of times they end up dealing with these black dudes who do them dirty, and they're just looking for a sexual fix anyway for the most part. So they'll take the bad with the good. So as long as they can get their sexual pleasure, they'll take the dude ruining their credit. They'll take the dude driving their car around, going on dates with other females. They'll take a dude who got hella baby mamas. They'll take a dude who lives at home with his mom. They'll take all these different things just because they chasing what me and my homeboys call that fix. It's like a dope fiend chasing a fix. And we actually have a funny name that we call these women. We call them holics. And the reason why we call them holics is because of a situation that actually happened when I was in Japan. The first time I ever went to Japan, me and my homeboys went into this club called Pure. And if you ever been to Osaka, Japan, and you know anything, and you like hip hop, you've definitely been in the Club Pure before. So Club Pure is a spot that's just filled up with holics. It's a hip hop spot, and that's typically what you're gonna find when you go to hip hop clubs in different countries. But what had happened when we had went to this spot Pure, me and my homeboy had met. I think it was just two. Me and my homeboy G, you've seen him on my channel before. And me and my homeboy G had met these two Japanese chicks when we was in there. I forget what their name was. I know the one he met was named Tomoyo. But anyways, he met Tomoyo, which was like a tall, cool-looking Japanese chick, and then I met a little shorter one. Forget what her name was, but I do remember what her email address was. Because back then, this is like 2012, we didn't really have international plans, you know what I mean, for our mobile carriers when you traveled internationally. So the way that we was communicating with a lot of these chicks that we met was via email. So when we was in the club, it was just like, and that's another thing, is like when you go to the club in Japan, at least back then, you would just ask a girl like, hey, what's your email? And I remember the girl told me her email address was chocolateaholic something. It was like chocolateaholic at yahoo.jp. That shit was hella funny. So me and my homeboys was cracking up. And plus this broad, she done went to Jamaica like 3 times. Like, she was just straight up chasing the fix. She was just a junkie looking for a fix. That's another thing we like to say about it. It's just a funny little inside joke that we have. But at the end of the day, this chick was going at all costs just to fuck with black dudes. And all she fucked with was black dudes. And she lived in Japan. So that just tells you something in itself. Like, black men in Japan probably make up 0.00001% of the population. But this chick is exclusively dating black men. So it's just a trip in general what people will do when they have a certain type of fetish. And a lot of times these chicks have that fetish and they have all these negative stereotypical views of you because that's what basically what they're with you for anyway. So it's gonna be, you're gonna attract what you're looking for. So if you're attracted, if you're looking for a black dude who sells dope or is only into hip hop or is a basketball player or, you know what I mean, all these things that you see in the media, then that's what you're going to end up getting. And this video really wasn't necessarily about that story in particular, and it wasn't necessarily for me to talk shit about women who only date black men, but you just have to question the motive of why a woman is dating a black man, because when it comes down to the hierarchy of this society in America, and pretty much globally to an extent, black men are somewhat on the bottom of the totem pole. And that doesn't mean that we're on the bottom of the totem pole in terms of our capabilities and our abilities or in our intelligence and different things of that nature, because obviously we're not. We have a lot of potential. And if you put your mind to doing anything, you can accomplish anything. But that's not the way that they view us. They just view us as a sexual conquest. They view us as entertainment. You know what I mean? I notice a lot of women, when they're messing with black dudes, it's like a lot of black dudes will like sell themselves out in terms of just being an entertainer for the broad. Like, they just got to keep the broad entertained the whole time they're messing with her, dancing around, acting foolish, smiling and giggling and shit. And for those people who are close to me, they know, number one, yeah, I could be playful. I like to laugh and joke around, but I'm actually a pretty serious person. But so for me personally, I find it offensive when somebody just looks at me as just like a form of entertainment. So it's, you know, because that pretty much like puts my intelligence to the side. It's like, we don't care about what you have to offer in terms of like your intelligence, your intellect, anything like that, your knowledge, your wisdom. We just care about you for your physicality and for your entertainment value only. You know what I mean? And some maybe sick fantasy that they might have or whatever. But actually the reason why I even brought this whole thing up to begin with is because I was, as you guys may know from watching my other videos or just maybe following my Instagram or anything like that, I always say I do online personal training. And one of my homeboys had like posted on his Instagram that I do online personal training. He just kind of had shared his experience training with me and, you know, this or that. So then a few people had reached out to me via his recommendation and hit me up on Instagram like, hey, yada yada. Man, they might have asked like, hey, what do you think I should do for this and that? But then there was this one white chick who hit me up and she actually said like, hey, look, I want to train with you, this, that, and the other. And pretty much the way it usually goes in terms of me getting clients is that usually they'll either email me and say, hey, look, I saw you on YouTube, or, you know, or they'll hit me up in my direct messages and say, hey, I saw you on YouTube, or they'll hit me up in my direct message and say, hey, look, I've seen your Instagram profile and I'm interested in the online training that you have to offer. And then usually the way it works after that, we usually get on a phone call or email back and forth. I usually ask them a few questions, send them a questionnaire. They hit me back and give me all the information or whatever, and then we usually get started. But to make a long story short, I usually, of course, anytime I'm putting together, it takes me like an hour and a half, 2 hours to put together somebody's initial training program. So before I put that type of energy into actually making somebody's training program, I always like to receive a payment first from the person before I start actually putting in the work. I'm not going to put together 2.5 hours, an hour and a half worth of work to give to you, and then you don't even give me the payment. So I've never even had any problems with people sending me the payment first anyways, because if you're looking for me, if you trust me to get you in shape, and you might have gotten recommended from somebody or whatever, then you should trust me to deliver on the product that I'm actually going to give you. But with this chick, who was clearly a holic, and she just looked, I mean, I'm not trying to disrespect anybody, but actually when I first seen her, she just kind of gave me like the wrong type of vibes anyway, you know, white chick, you know, kind of looked, like I said, I'm not trying to disrespect, but she kind of looked a little trashy, tattoos and shit, and then her job was a giveaway why she was a holic. I'm not going to even get into what her job was because I don't want to get too personal with the shit. But then when she also answered the questionnaire that I sent out, I asked people what are their goals in terms of what they want. What are they looking to get from the training? And one thing that she answered in that questionnaire was, I'm looking to lose fat in this area, but I want to gain fat in my ass. And it's like, huh? First off, that's not even possible unless you do plastic surgery. But second off, the only people who would even think like that is a holic, because they just stereotypically want to get a big ass and a fat ass because they think that's just going to attract more black dudes. So, and of course women can gain size in their ass, in their booty, but it's by gaining muscle in that area. You know what I mean? They can lose fat in other areas, but you have to build that ass up with actual workouts that's actually going to lift that ass up and actually build the booty up. You know what I mean? To give it more, you know, to give it more size. And there's plenty of women out there who work themselves out and get training specifically for that. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you're looking to do and that's what you're looking to gain. But this chick had some weird thing in her head where she just wanted, like, you know what I mean? She basically just wanted that Instagram big ass with a skinny frame look just to attract black dudes. But anyways, the reason why I even made this video anyways, because I felt like the reason why she didn't make the payment to me up front, even after I told her a few times, she just ignored my messages about the payment being up front, is because she had some type of distrust for me. And this, I might be reading into it completely off base. I might be completely off base and be reading into it too much. But I felt like she just had a distrust for me. This is just from our interaction. A distrust for me because she kept on like questioning everything that she was saying. It's like, for me, it's like, why even come holler at me about training with me if you don't trust what I'm talking about anyways, or if you don't trust that I'm going to deliver on what I said I'm going to deliver on. So, you know what I mean? It's okay for people to be a little bit skeptical, but then you don't want to pay me. You know what I mean? Like, you must have had so many bad experiences with black dudes that you actually have this negative thought in your mind that we're so untrustworthy that even when you're doing business with us, that you shouldn't even trust doing business with us, even though I'm providing you a service. You feel me? And on top of that, even after that, you still gonna go and fuck with black dudes. So you gonna go fuck with black dudes, and you still want the sexual experience, and you still want to fuck with them, but you actually don't respect black dudes actually as a man. You know what I mean? And that's a sick way of viewing any group of people. And personally, I kind of just have a problem in general with these type of women and the fact that they only date black dudes. And it's like, you could probably, a lot of people might look at me and be like, well, you dated a lot of Asian women in the past, but if you ask any of my friends, that's not all I date. I've probably dated every single race of women out there. I've messed with Mexican chicks, black chicks. I never really seriously dated a white girl, but I messed around with some white girls before, and Brazilian, all these different types of races I done mess with. You know what I mean? I've been all over the globe. You know what I mean? And even not even just all over the globe. I live in California, which is super diverse. So for me, I never have just had it in my mind where it's just like, oh, I'm only fucking with Asian chicks. You know what I mean? I'm only fucking with Asian chicks because they're submissive and yada, 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 this, and that, and the other. You know what I mean? All these stereotypical ass views of why you should date somebody. You know what I mean? But a lot of these women who date black men exclusively, they just date you strictly for the stereotypical, I think that this body part is like that. I just want a dude who's hella yoked up. I want a dude who's ultra masculine and hyper aggressive. I want a dude who's a thug and sells dope and has this b-boy persona. I want to date a dude who's super entertaining and is a rapper. Or I want a dude who's super athletic and can dunk a fucking basketball, or whatever it may be that they got this in their head of what a black man actually is. When we actually vary to the point where we got black people who's scientists, we got black dudes who's nerds, we got black dudes who's athletes, we got black dudes who's just chill, you know what I mean? We got black dudes who's just a 9-to-5, you know what I mean? Go take care of his family type of dude. We come in all shapes and sizes, you know what I mean? And all different types of career choices, all different types of background. Every black dude's not from the hood. We got black dudes who come from rich families, black dudes who come, I mean, of course, I'm preaching to the choir. Most of the audience is going to be black anyways. But even if it's not, you know what I mean? I'm just saying, we come from all different backgrounds, all different countries, you know what I mean? It's just like all different types of cultures and all that different types of stuff. So it's just sick. For me personally, I try to stay away from that type of woman, you know what I mean? And unfortunately, the fact of the matter is that that's actually the type of woman that is mostly going to be attracted to you if you're a black dude and you're dating somebody who's outside of your race. So you probably, if you're going to be interested in a lady who's maybe white, Asian, Latin, Latina, whatever, you know what I mean? I would definitely watch out for those red flags in terms of, A, you probably want to know what type of people she has been dating in the past, because if the broad done told you, rattled off 10 names of her ex-boyfriends, one of them was named Deontay, one of them's name was Javarte, one of them name was DiMaggio, Leroy, Marcus, all these different names, you like, oh, well, you know what I mean? Number one, not only is this broad got a fetish, she just been ran through, and that's another thing. A lot of these broads have been straight ran through, they trash, and most dudes in their race don't want to fuck with them. You know what I mean? You don't want to date a girl who's the leftovers of another race, because then that makes us look bad as black men, that we don't have any standards and that we're essentially just garbage collectors for everybody else. You feel me? And that's what a lot of these women think of us as if we just supposed to be happy with the fact that a white girl wants to fuck with us, or be happy with the fact that an Asian girl wants to fuck with us, or be happy with the fact that whatever these other races want to fuck with us, and they don't have to bring anything to the table, but they think just because they of another race, and they think on a societal totem pole, because you down here, that you should just be happy with fucking with them. And you might be the cream of the crop in terms of black men, and they think that they might be entitled to having the cream of the crop of black men when they won't even get a man of their race. You feel me? So I know I'm rambling on a little bit, but this is actually something I actually do feel very strongly about, just because I feel like it's so disrespectful. And then another thing is that us as black men, I'm not saying all black dudes have low standards, but I just see way too many black dudes who could be fucking with a chick who's of a higher level, accepting less just because she might be a white girl, or accepting less just because she might be an Asian chick, or whatever it may be. And I'm not saying, and of course, by all means, everybody has their own two eyes, and everybody is attracted to people, you know, attractiveness is subjective. So what I might find attractive, somebody else might not find attractive, and vice versa. So I can't really say too much of that, but there is like certain things when a woman just looks completely trashy. Personally, I hate women with tattoos. So I personally wouldn't date women with tattoos, and when a woman has way too many tattoos, it's just a red flag to me that the woman is of very low value. And for some reason, I see a lot of black dudes fucking with these chicks who got hella tattoos and shit. Granted, it depends on where you're at, but, you know, a lot of tattoos, all these different, you know, just the red flags that I would indicate that I don't want to mess with a chick anyways. And I see a lot of black dudes accepting that, and sometimes I think maybe it's just because it's a chick of another race, and it's like, if you're gonna do that, like, why you just don't find you I mean, everybody has what they're attracted to, but, you know, you might as well just get you a black girl, you know what I mean, instead of fucking with a low quality ass white chick, you know what I mean, or whatever other race. Anyways, I'm just rambling off the top of my head. At the end of the day, if you're a black man, or any race man, to be honest with you, make sure you keep your standards up. Make sure that you don't allow these low quality women who fetishize you to get involved in your life, because at the end of the day, you messing with one of these chicks who just views you as a fetish and a conquest, you're just another notch under her belt. I know I made a video the other day talking about how us men need to get over the mindset of like having notches under our belt and look for somebody quality. But these women have that same mindset that a man would have, which is even more disturbing, that they just want to have more notches under their belt. They don't necessarily view you as a human being, like I said before. And they don't necessarily want to just have sex with some specific black dude. They want to have sex with as many black dudes as they can get their hands on. And they're not really happy until they mess with a certain number of black men, which is sick. And anyways, guys, comment on the video. I know this is probably going to be a controversial video, and a lot of people might not agree with what I'm talking about, or other people might say, well, why don't you just mess with black women anyways, and you wouldn't have this problem. Everybody's allowed to mess with whoever they want to mess with. If I ended up finding a girlfriend who I really like that's Asian, and that's my prerogative, just like your prerogative to date whoever you want to date. But me, as somebody who's trying to give some game to people and try to give some wisdom to people, I would always let people know you want to watch out for the red flags, and you also want to make sure that you're dating somebody, no matter what race or whatever, you know what I mean, no matter what ethnicity, no matter what country they come from, date with the purpose of finding somebody who's quality. Even if you're not even dating somebody serious, still try to find somebody as quality as possible. And I want to make another video speaking on dating internationally on another video, just because a lot of times I see people complain about American women, but then they go overseas and they date these low quality women as well. Women who are basically, some of them are prostitutes, and some of them are like one step away from being a prostitute, or just using a dude just because he's an American, maybe eventually trying to get a green card and coming back over here. And this issue is not necessarily exclusive to black men. This actually could be a problem that white men have as well. Some women date white men just because they look at them as a status upgrade, and they don't necessarily look at them as, you know, a human being, or they're definitely gonna look at them as a human being, but they just look at it as a status upgrade, opposed to saying, I really like this guy or whatever. And you know, every race of men has their own issues, but I'm just talking about black men just because that's what my reality is. And if you guys have anything to add to this, leave it in the comment section. If you guys disagree, leave that in the comment section as well. You can give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down, whatever you want to do. Subscribe to the channel if you're interested in this type of talk. I know most of my content has really just been about fitness, travel, and just general growth in terms of like personal growth, but I do feel like these type of issues are important to speak on as well, because it's just stuff that pops up into your life, and it's stuff that's definitely popped up into my life before, and something that you're going to deal with on a regular basis if you're a single man, and trying to weed out through the women who aren't of value versus the women who are of value and what works for you. But anyways, guys, I'll holler at you guys later. Hope everybody's having a great day. Peace.